average is not invited. Not if you're holding your company off-site in Las Vegas. We aren't on friendly terms with the bare minimum, and unenthusiastic is uninvited. Las Vegas's creative energy and world-class hospitality want to bring your company off-site to crazy new heights. That's why fear-based leadership is afraid of Vegas. And boring? Won't be there, but it will be watching the meeting recordings later. Plan for the extraordinary at vegasmeansbusiness.com.
This episode is brought to you by Audi. The road is calling. Embrace the thrill of the drive with the all-new, fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron. Featuring effortless power, serious acceleration, and advanced Audi tech. It's not just a new EV, it's a new way to experience driving. The all-new, fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron is here. The next chapter of Audi starts now.
Good afternoon, guys, and welcome to the podcast from North Carolina. I've got Kari Warberg Block, and she is the founder of EarthKind. And today's topic of discussion is all about non-toxic pest control, and she is going to talk about her work through EarthKind on eco-friendly pest control, sustainable pest solutions, botanical, chemical-free, and she's got a very interesting journey and story. She's an 8-figure entrepreneur building businesses from the ground up, and I'm really happy to have her on to discuss her work. So, Kari, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah. I know what interesting is apparently Gary Vaynerchuk recommended you to start doing podcasts so that you're on here. And so talk about your journey and your story and how you came to come on to here and what you're doing.
Sure, I'd love to. So I was a farm wife in Western North Dakota. I had a mouse run up my leg. It was a freaky experience, something I never, ever wanted to happen. I learned that there was nothing available to prevent that problem. There was only poisons and kill methods and traps that would get stuck on my fingers. And I didn't want anything to do with it. I called every company around. Nobody cared. In fact, most of them laughed at me and said, "You're nuts. Just kill them. You can do it for $3." And I said, "I don't want to kill them. I don't even want to see them. I don't want the confrontation. I don't want to hurt my kids and my pets." And so I started down the path and invented a solution and brought it to market. And today we've sold $360 million worth of my inventions. Hard to believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so the first topic of question that we're going to have is just when people come to you, what is the number one problem or question or things that they're searching for solutions for?
So the number one problem really that I solved when I started this business was the problem of damage in farm equipment for mice. It was pretty substantial. And it was just a problem that nobody seemed to really care about. And I really cared about it because I was a farm wife and I experienced the pain that you go through when you get into your tractor or truck cab and it's decimated, desanctified, if you will, that there's feces all of that is just gross. And so that was the first problem that I solved. And it really solving it in a way that the wife would like on the farm, in a way that was preventives, that prevented it from ever happening again. And then I made the invention out of farm-grown ingredients that was in a way that could support farmers. And it really took off from there. It was no easy journey by any stretch of it because I had to learn the things to get there. But over time, as the business grow and the problems change, we've become a top place to work. How do you do that with culture? That can be a problem. How do you stay innovative? How do you scale your company? So there's a lot of other problems when you become an entrepreneur and scale your company that you get to learn and deal with.
Yeah. And now we'll get into the nitty gritty. A lot of people that would be interested in non-toxic pest control, a lot of them surround these typical questions or concerns. First thing is health and safety. And so they would be asking, are there pest control options that won't harm my family or pets?
Yeah, I'm talking about health and safety. There was some facts that I learned early on that were pretty alarming.
Mm.
Number one was the amount of dogs that get poisoned by rat poison unintentionally. There was over 6,000 reported each year by the ASPCA. And even with our product, it still hasn't gotten a lot better. That's one of the reasons I'm out doing podcasts, because people don't know unless they know. And say a dog will eat a rat or mouse that's been treated with something, then they can get sick, right? They can die, and only the vet knows, the vet reports it.
Mhm.
Childhood cancer is a leading cause of death in children. I believe the leading cause of death in children. And pesticides in the home are one of the leading contributors to that.
Mhm.
98% of everything sold to control a pest when we entered the marketplace, 98% were toxic
Wow.
to my kids and my pets and the environment. And I thought, wow, how can people not care about this? And it goes back to the problem. You just want to get rid of the pests.
Mhm.
You need to get rid of them. We totally get that. The opportunity became, how do we invent something that makes it easy and effortless for a customer to get rid of the pests and make it sustainable and humane and aligned with our customers' values?
Mhm.
And so that's really what the trifecta that started EarthKind and has really built our brand up.
Mhm. Interesting. For the environmentalists out there, I know a lot of the questions are, how can one manage pests without damaging local wildlife or polluting waterways?
Yeah. So I'm like a wealth of knowledge when it comes to getting pesticides registered, because even though our products are plant-based, we still have to go through a registration process that includes the federal government in a couple of our products and states as well. We oftentimes, most of the time, have to have our products licensed. So our products are made where a non-professional can use them. They're also made where a professional can use them, and many professionals do. So here comes the water, the air, all of the other factors around that people don't think about when they're using any kind of a product, not just a pest control, but a cleaning product, is what is the impact going to be on groundwater? What is the impact going to be on air and the environment? And that's something that our brand has gone through to great lengths to make sure that we've studied all those things and looked at those things. Part of it is they're required when you're going to make new registrations, and to go in and change policy to actually do this with a botanical ingredient. We had to do a lot of these studies and create the protocols around it. So our website, earthkind.com, has so much useful information. You can type in the past, whatever it is you're dealing with, and we'll help walk you through all of those things that you're going to think about. The first thing is, I need to solve this. Okay, no problem. Probably got that one solved.
Yeah.
Then it's how to, use it around your kids and what are all the other impacts. So we've always been pretty transparent from the beginning. We were the first brand that ever did something like that. People called us crazy, where we'd put the ingredients even more prominent than our brand name.
Mhm.
But I think for me as a mom, I had kids and I had pets, I was looking at the ingredients. And I knew there was probably other moms that were too. So you got solving the problem, but those of us that are taking care of the homes and the property, and there's environmental health definitely to be concerned about.
A question one would have when they're listening to this is the difference between natural versus non-natural. I guess the standard way sounds like the standard way is very messy and very has a lot of side effects. So question is, do natural methods work efficaciously against common household pests compared to traditional ways?
Sorry, I can't give you an easy one. It's really that depends.
Mhm.
each environment has its own set of circumstances, right? We have a customer service line that's open that people can call and ask those things. But a lot of times, let me just give you an example of what happens when people see an ant right in their home. They'll just automatically, oh, no, we have ants, go buy an ant bait or poison to take back to the colony and kill them, and ant problem over. Yeah, scratch that back a little bit. What happens is now you've just lost your termite control, your stink bug control around your house. Most of the time, the ants are coming in only because they got rained out. And they're waiting for it to dry. And then they go right back out, and they actually work for us. They actually take care of the environment around us. So taking an ecosystem approach is really helpful. Now, with that said, siding on natural, I am definitely 100% all for that. But technically it's called integrated pest management. So you integrate natural methods in times that it will work. Because there are some times when there's an infestation and it's a public health risk pest, and it's mandatory that you get them out of there, whatever means possible. And so what our brand and our product does is it helps to prevent things from getting that bad. You put our pouches into the area, they emit a beautiful aroma. Most people find it pleasant anyway. And then the pests just stay away. So there's no messy setup, no messy cleanup, no stinky sprays, no dead bodies to deal with. But in the severe infestations, you definitely, on those times, you want to call in a pro. And they're going to bring in some big guns, and they're likely needed.
Yeah. And when you talk because you mentioned pro, and there's this camp, do it yourself versus professional services. And you mentioned the pros will bring in big guns. Are there reputable pest control services that are budget friendly, that use eco-friendly products?
Yeah, there are. I recommend people go to the National Pest Management Association, and there's a green, I think it's called Green Pro, but you can ask there and they can actually provide you with a local provider. And I get calls personally from a lot of those pest management professionals out there, and they're looking for more eco-friendly tips. And they'll say, hey, what would you do in this situation? How could you help me solve this? So I've learned a lot from them over the years, and they generally are the ones that I talk to. They're very caring and they want to do a good job in the home. And customers are increasingly asking for safer alternatives. And there are things that homeowners can do, like you can look up to see if they have a license. You can look up to see if there's been any complaints against them. AI can give you some really good tips too, like what questions do I need to ask? We've got blogs on our website about that, what questions to ask when hiring a pro. You can help people navigate, because it can be scary when you're faced with a pest and you're worried about your family, and you want to get the problem solved and you want to do the right thing. And there are some important questions to ask.
Interesting. We talked about actually going after the problem, but are there proactive preventative measures, natural methods that one can use to deter pests from entering their home?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say there's three. We can remember things in threes, right? The first thing is cleanup. That's really important. I'll just talk rodents, for instance. They can, if there's a wood pile within 20 feet of your house, they might be living in there, right? So keep the wood piles back about 20 feet. Covering the dog food. Number one attractant to a rodent. It's very simple. Just cover the dog food. Those rodents can smell it like miles away, and they come running over. Any type of debris. That's one of the biggest problems with rodents in New York City and Chicago and those New Orleans, where it's heavily infested. There's just so much garbage and refuse that they just come in. So clean up. Number two is seal up. You want to make sure you use like a silicone caulking and seal up any holes. A lot of times the pests are going to be coming in like where there's electrical coming into your home. So you have to seal that up. A size of a dime, really, a mouse can get in. Spiders, it's amazing how spiders can get in, ants can get in, but using caulking is really super helpful. Calling in a carpenter too can help, because sometimes you have to rebuild some things to make sure that it's tightly sealed up in the elements, because pests will come in not just when it's cold and they want to get warm, like in the fall, but they can also come in when it's really hot. When there's a drought happening and it's hot, I get phone calls to be on the local news and weather about that, because the pests are going to be seeking refuge and they're going to come in, and that's the last thing you're thinking about, but they're going to be looking for water. So if you have any leaky water, you want to make sure you seal that up. So there's clean up, seal up, and the third is pouch up. That's where you can take our product. It comes in, here's one, it's in a bag. It's like a sachet pouch, just about the size of a hand. And it's got all the ingredients in it that are grown on farms. And this one is a rodent repellent that's used on farms. And it's made with cellulose plant fiber and balsam fir oil. So balsam fir trees make its own oil and sap to prevent rodents from climbing up, eating monarch butterflies. Yeah, that's how I discovered that. And to say, that's really interesting. How come this tree has no bark damage? And this tree has bark damage. And that's really how the product was invented.
Yeah, interesting. It was this conversation we have around 3 minutes, and what was really interesting is your knowledge in such a specific niche. And it's amazing because you're an 8-figure business and eco-friendly pest control solutions. That's very, like I said, it's very niche, and it's amazing how you grew it. Parting thoughts, educational resources, because you're committed to educating the public on natural pest prevention methods and empowering individuals to implement safe and effective strategies in their homes and businesses. Where can people find out more about you and learn from you and can reach out and connect it?
If there's a problem with pests in the home or your business, check out earthkind.com. We have an incredible resource library of all kinds of helpful tips. There's a number there to call. If people want to have me on, you can find me, just Google my name, Kari Warberg Block, and you'll find the entries. You'll find a website. Our products can be purchased at around 35,000 stores.
Yeah.
Pretty much in most town, you'll be able to find them.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, really, it's very, like I said, I'm always fascinated by just these fringe and things you never think about or hear about, and then you just delve more into the topics. I think a lot of people searching for non-toxic pest control solutions or non-toxic pest control will be highly benefited from this episode, and I'm sure you're in a great position to help them. So thanks so much and keep up the great work.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.